It's a decent evening out here at the river house, and I'm getting ready to set some rocks. So if you saw those previous videos, we got us quite the crop, quite the harvest from up on the hill. And now it's time to do something with them. So the goal will be to take this retaining wall and get it as high as that natural ledge over there, and then to carry it around somewhere over in this area. Obviously with Mom and Dad's trailer there, I gotta be really careful how close I get, but I'm gonna take a little of this dirt out of the way. At some point in the distant future, there'll be a shop sitting right here. And I don't need a stone wall behind it. In fact, it'd probably be better to have a concrete wall and use that as the rear of the shop. But I do want the stone wall to come in all the places it's visible. I got me a likely candidate right there. I've just finished a bit of a squirt. Clean her up some. Now, up until this point, I have been setting concrete mortar and then setting rocks on top. These are too big. What I found with these large ones is if I set it on a bed of mortar, it just pushes all that mortar out anyways, and the excavator, it's pretty clumsy at setting them down. I'd like to use straps and fly them in. That's too big to fly. I don't trust the strap to hold it. And so normally I fly them in and I set them on 2x4s, stacked on either end, and then I pry them up, I remove one 2x4, and I put more in and I teeter-totter it down. Obviously this is simply too large, so I'm going to resort to the tactic I used when setting the big rocks, which is to set them dry and pack the joint later. So my hope is I can set this up here and not have it immediately tip over, because that's a big rock. That's a really big rock to have tip over. I guess we'll see. I don't think I'll do this one in time lapse, because if it goes badly, it'll make some good footage. Let's see if the excavator can be a gentle giant. Well, it's up there and it's stable, but you probably saw that I knocked that one next to it loose. It's partially why I guess I'm not too fussed about the idea of dry bedding these rocks up here closer to the top. And I prefer they not break loose. I have no idea what I'm doing. Just build it thick enough it doesn't matter. Well, I think that's the night's work. I got 5 big ones placed. I knocked 2 smaller rocks and 1 big one loose. I knocked that one loose right there. Oh, some of this is a little sketchier than I'd like. Nonetheless, she's Baker again. The fact that these things keep popping loose, I guess it does make me feel better about dry stacking and packing with mortar in between. So the issue I've got now is, do I double dry stack and then pack? What are the odds that I wouldn't knock the lower part down and send 15,000 pounds of rock crashing down? Probably quite small. Then again, what are the odds? I mean, some of that mortar I knocked loose is 3 weeks old, so what are the odds that I inadvertently knock loose fresh mortar? It's pretty high. Well, tomorrow we're supposed to have rain and storms, so if that's the case, I'll sculpt this bank. We want to pull that bush. I don't know what it is. That thing is like bonsai! I don't want to pull it down, sorry. I'm going to try to carve out this area while leaving it up there. Our goal is to clone that and then stick it up all along here, because very clearly that's happy growing up there. If I can stick some of its clones and maybe add a little horse poop in the mix, we can get some turbocharge growing and get those roots going. I'm happy with this. This is a fair bit. It's also more than 1 full day of dragging rocks. Though if we'd started in the canyon, we'd have more done. It bums me out I knocked that one loose. There's just so much weight and so much power when I mean, how much did that bucket weigh when I was grabbing that rock to inadvertently bump into it? It's like a wrecking ball. but I'm happy with this. This is pretty fantastic, and other than that spot right there, I've basically got the same grade all the way across to here. And those two are the same height more or less, so I'll span them. If I get another one right there, a rock there, a rock there, and then a rock there, geez, we'll be so much farther along than I ever thought I'd get this winter. I'm happy. It's also getting dark. I gotta wash this so that it's ready tomorrow on the offhand chance I can do it. Sayonara. Back, just like that. So it is the next day. I don't think anything fell. Let's get behind the tractor so there's no wind. Yep, doesn't look like anything fell. Nice. You know, yeah, okay, those two aren't exactly the right height. I might try to pry up that second from the end there and level it out some, but I doubt it matters much one way or another. My goal here is to get these joints packed with concrete. I'm going to mix it up probably a little thicker than I normally would, and I just, you know, right now these rocks are essentially sitting on the corners on rock wedges I hammered in. I want them supported in large patches so that they don't tippy teeter totter. Oh, yeesh, ugly today. Just so they stay there. If I have more time, I'll mix a second batch of concrete and I'll begin packing between them, and then they'll be truly locked in together. I don't know how. The bottom rocks are thinner, so I drill down through and pin everything together. I won't be able to do that with these, but I'm thinking I can drill pins in on the backside with little stubs of rebar. Then I'll bend I got a lot of rebar, and I'll bend a rebar to match the thing, and I'll weld it up just with that Harbor Freight snot welder, and I'll just weld the hell out of it, and I'll bury it. Yeah, the rebar will eventually rust out, but I don't think it's necessary. Anyways, I'm just hedging my bets. Okay, let's do this.
This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now.
Alright, I'd say we're pretty much done for the night. We should really bring down some big lights or something. Oh, I broke those. I should really fix my big lights or something and then bring them down, because shutting down this early is just not going to get the job done. However, with 2 batches of mortar, and that is 7 parts sand, 2 parts Portland, 1 part lime. So I should be a type S. With 2 full batches of mortar, I have got material packed under every rock. Some more than others. You know, it's not always possible when doing it this way. It's not quite the same as setting them in a bed of mortar and letting them squish out. You know, like this one was set in a bed of mortar with 2 pinholes up in top. I just didn't take the time to do it with these. Nonetheless, when this is hardened, sometime tomorrow, you know, they're not gonna rock. They weren't rocking before, but you know what I mean. Get them bedded in. Obviously, I still need to pack the joints in between because they won't truly be set in stone. See what I did? Until those joints are packed, and then that sort of ties them together. You know, I'm using this mortar because it's supposed to be quite strong. The bottom rocks were all set in type M, and that I bought pre-mixed, although in some of the cases I did dilute it a little bit with sand, but they're all set in type M, and undoubtedly that's got more adhesion. The rocks seem to be sticking better. Not that I couldn't knock those out either. We've done okay. Let's see. I got a serious settling crack right here, but it's only in those, and it was when I set these two in place it seemed to have forced that down. But for the most part, for a guy's got no idea what he's doing and is definitely not setting the base the way all the instructions say. Dig out 18 inches, pack with crushed rock, tamp it, let it set, yada yada. I'm just setting them on hard pan. I do have gravel, at least up underneath there. I hit sand down in there. Sand has always meant I'm inches, maybe up to 2 feet above the bedrock, so I don't think I'll bother putting gravel in there either. But hopefully this will have this set, and then dummy me, I thought I'd have time to do a batch and dig this, but maybe I'll come in tomorrow. I gotta be careful. I don't spend any time with the family when I work like this, but you know, I spent all Monday. I gave them all Monday night and we just watched a movie. So I haven't been completely delinquent, but I got to clean up now. I still have a cement mixer running full of cementy water. I'll probably bucket that and dump it behind the wall. That's how I've been forcing this dirt to pack, is with my cementy wastewater. Seems to be working fantastic. And then I'll have to come through with the brush and brush off the spots I got on the wall. I don't do a perfect job. You can see the concrete staining all over here. I don't know, maybe years from now when the kid gets in trouble and tells me to F off as a teenager, I can hand him an error scaler and say, go clean that wall, boy. But so far he's been a pretty good little guy. Yeah, okay. Oh, what was I saying? It's going to be a problem because that has not had enough time. So I'll have to be really careful, and I'll end up washing the cement out of the outer layer of sand in that mortar. But it'll be fine. It'll only go in there just a tiny little bit. And that sand will slowly brush off with weather and exposure. It'll be fine. But I won't have big blobbies of concrete sitting in places. This is the one I truly wanted, because this rock is sitting on this rock, which was sitting on a little tit down in there. I want that to solidify, because that was the only... If this had popped out, this thing might come over, and now I don't have to worry about it. Just like I'm not going to worry about saying goodbye.